Hello guys, how's it going? I'm going to go ahead and cover just a quick trade. I actually haven't looked at anything today, so I'm just going to be starting blank, going over a few things and covering it, and then going from there. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm looking at is we do have a bearish Gartley forming, or it's a bullish Gartley. I'm looking for a bearish leg down to the D point here, around $94 if this plays out. But just to go over some of the basics first with the harmonic, we have the 618 here. This can still push up into an 886, so we can still see the dollar rise higher, right? We could come all the way down a little bit here and then back up, and this could take, years to play out. But just to look at it now, we do have an order block here that we had turn in breaker, and we actually are getting rejected from it currently right here. So on the weekly time frame, we are getting rejected. The dollar is finding a top. I think at least a Pico top, local top here. So we could see a move down here. We also have a bearish divergence here on the dollar that could be playing out on the weekly time frame. So that's what I'm looking at on the dollar. We could see a rejection here, and then we'll see what happens. Let's go into a couple trades that I'm liking, that I'm looking at. I am still a little more biased to the long side, even though with everything going on, we could take a nuke at any point and everything fall down. But hey man, I'm just going to trade what's in front of me. We got fallen wedge breakout. That was, see how many months this was long on AVAX that we finally broke out of. So about 200-day fallen wedge that AVAX broke out of. And what I'm looking at here is on the 4-hour, we do have 2 times hidden bullish divergence on the 4-hour here. And you can see that because you're putting in higher highs while your oscillators are putting in lower lows here. So you can actually see this in the price. Lower low, lower low, lower low, low, low. But we are seeing higher highs on price. So as long as 911-ish holds for AVAX, we could see continuation to the upwards here. We also had a daily fair value gap here, right here, that we came down and we held so far. And we have a breaker block here as well. So we're looking to go ahead and hold this and see if we can stay above the midpoint here for a continuation push upwards on AVAX. Couple harmonics here too. If we do get a big push, this is what I would be expecting for AVAX, potentially up to like $14, $15. We also have another fair value gap here around 1187, so be careful of that level. Arbitrum. Also, let's zoom out on this too, real quick before I switch. Go to my other chart. So if AVAX does come back down and push back down on a higher time frame, I'd be looking closer to around the level of 717. So if we do fall down farther, 717 is around the level where I'm just going to pick up as a spot bag for the long run here. And worst case scenario, everything does get really ugly. Look between around $4 and $5.79. But other than that, I would be looking around $7, and if we can't hold this area, but if we do hold this area, I'm looking for that push up to around $14, $11.80, $14. Arbitrum versus Bitcoin, fallen wedge again on this. These are like the easiest patterns to trade. Working on a potential cipher pattern if this actually holds. So I actually fib here to here. We're at the 1618 and we held it versus Bitcoin, and we swept these lows down here. So if this can hold, we might be able to see a push up with Arbitrum, and it might outperform Bitcoin, but we're going to have to see with Bitcoin dominance rising. We need that to start falling. Arbitrum on the daily. So we do have a butterfly pattern here, pretty much 786 down at your 1.414. We held that here, we came actually down, swept it, and we are holding it again. So I'm trying to see if we get a bounce here. If not, and if we do fall back below this, it's invalid. I'll be looking for lower, around 65 cents potentially in the future if that does happen. but I would like to see it run up first. Obviously, with all the news and everything, just don't over leverage, do anything stupid. Radiant, same thing, fallen meme wedge pretty much. Had a power of 3 that played out. You had accumulation, manipulation, and then you had to move up. And now we're actually coming back down and we're holding. There was a fair value gap here on the daily that we held. Almost filled the entire thing. And then we also had a breaker here that we're currently holding at the moment. So we're going to see how this plays out and see if you can maybe find a reversal here. You're also at the meme wedge breakout retest area. So, I mean, this could come down a little bit farther, but I mean, this looks like a pretty good trade, especially with ARB incentives coming up. So we're going to see if it holds here or if we're going to continue lower. And I like this coin. I think it's a good coin fundamentally wise, and we'll see how this plays. Right now it does look a little weak, so we do need to see this candle start to push back up here soon. RSR. So this is RSR. From a spot perspective that I am, slightly underwater on the spot bags. I don't care, I'm holding this one pretty much longer term here. We have a perfect butterfly for the most part at your 1272 where I entered. I still have room to DCA lower if I need to with some spot. But another thing to look at is we also have a much larger harmonic on this for a butterfly as well. So we also have this large harmonic. We have a pretty much another fallen wedge. So what I want to see is this eventually break out of here and look for impulse moves up. This thing likes to run when it does. So that's what I'm eyeing. I don't think this is a bad entry down here if you're looking at the chart historically. And right now we are holding a pretty good support level on this area. So this is where we found demand previously, so we could find it again here. One of my buddies, Fred, actually was talking about DOT, which I actually haven't checked DOT in a while. But let's give it a look. Yeah, so this is a very important level over here. Right around 359, and we're getting very close to it. This also looks like a pretty nice fallen wedge here on DOT. I personally don't like trading this coin, but I mean, it does look pretty good here if this can hold. So maybe a little bit lower down on this, and if it ends up holding right around that 359 level, maybe it sweeps it first. But if it can hold this, I mean, you're getting in long territory where you have a lot of upside for the amount of risk that you're taking on here. So this could be a very good potential play. I'm going to keep my eyes on DOT as well. Might be a slow mover, but it's a high RR play. Check out Lido. So Lido, I'm still biased to around 181. So we'll see if this still plays, but I still like Lido down to potentially 181. Came back down, kind of tap this harmonic again. And we'll see what happens here, but Lido, there's a Gartley here around that 181, 182 to 192. That I'd be looking for shorts there on that fair value gap fill. See if you get a wick up into this area. Katos, this is my current favorite war stock that I've been in since December of last year. So I'm actually in from around here, around like $9.50, I think is my average. So I'm almost at a 2x on this so far. I do think this has a lot more room to go up on the monthly chart. Specifically, we had 3 times hidden bullish divergence on the monthly. So you can actually see that. I had it marked off here. You had higher high, higher high, higher high. And then you also have that, or had it on the MACD here, or on the RSI. You definitely have one count of bullish divergence here on the RSI. Hidden bullish divergence. So this thing's had a crazy past couple of days as well, with everything breaking out with the war. It's unmanned drones, unmanned, like basically futuristic tech where you don't have to have anybody in the jets or UAVs or anything like that. They're all controlled. We had about a 25% move in the last couple weeks, and so far it's looking pretty good, man. About a 80% move from where I'm in. I had some long dated call options on this that are actually printing right now, but yep, looking good so far. This is one of my favorite stocks. We also had a bat. I mean, just looking at it on the monthly, looks really good, man. And this thing has a lot of potential to move up. I mean, I think the all-time high was somewhere around 16. Yeah, 1638. I mean, I know that's a long way up, but if they keep getting grants from the government and war keeps escalating, this is definitely a stock to keep an eye on. So we already covered Radiant. I'm gonna probably myself take a position on Radiant. RSR. Not financial advice. You guys can do what you want. Personally, I might take it myself. I do like ZIL. Let me cover ZIL. Let's get off the monthly here. Crypto does not have as much data on some of these. Alright, so on ZIL, one thing I'm really focusing on ZIL is this larger butterfly at the 1618 that we have. It reminds me of Storj a lot. Every time we've hit this, we've had a pretty big move up, right? I mean, the last few times, I mean, this one was 135%. This one had a move, this one from here to here, had a move about 58%. And we're down touching it again, so this could be a nice little PO3 in play too on a breakout on the diagonal. So, I mean, even if we just got up to the fair value gap, that's still a 25% move on ZIL. And it looks pretty good, man. So that's something I'm going to be eyeing on. Even if we got up, like if we held this supply zone over here, and then moved up to here, I mean, that's a pretty big move. Even mid-range, or where we usually reject, right around here is like the 21 area. So like I said, that's a 25% move. You get higher up into this range, I mean, it's closer to like, I want to say like a 70, 80%. 70. So ZIL's one to keep your eye on. I do think it looks really good. IMX. So IMX, we originally played the shark down here where I actually longed the exact bottom of this thing, and I sold a little too early. I sold right here at this kind of like micro resistance, and right as soon as I sold, we got a giant candle up to like 76 cents for like a 55% move. So this thing had a pretty big move. This is definitely something that I am bullish on, especially with this larger time frame shark that we have on it. Kind of have like a ugly butterfly over here, but the 1272 is what I'm more looking at. So from here to here, 1272 fib extension down is right around exactly where we're bottoming right now. So it might not be the perfect harmonic, but I'm still looking at it for more of like the 1272 extension if we're going to hold this area here. And if this holds, I mean, we actually had a perfect 786 here on the smaller time frame on that initial move up. So if this plays, we could be putting in another butterfly pattern here, and we'd be looking for a move up to like 94, and that's actually right at the fair value gap that you have here on the daily. So that lines up very nicely, where you have a harmonic that's potentially pointed. Obviously you want to take the trade on the D point of this one, of the larger one. That's where you want to get long. But we have a harmonic pointing right to the fair value gap up here. So if that plays, this would potentially be a good entry, right? You have another low here, low, low, low. Came down, swept it a little bit, trying to reclaim it. If we can hold this area, ideally you don't want this to go past an 886. So you could maybe DCA just a smidge lower if we do dip a smidge lower. With a clear invalidation, man, like right below maybe this fair value gap, and see if it holds. Go to maybe the 4 hour. Find a nice order block here, right here. Maybe place a stop loss here, below this, and look for a swing up. But I do like IMX, especially with the ratios it's putting in here, because this could be a really good long if this does decide to pick up some steam here. Injective. All right. Joe, let me take a look at Joe. So I do like Joe still. I am starting to accumulate a couple of spot positions on this. It could definitely come down lower. See if there's any harmonics on the higher time frame on this. None really that I see, right? Now we pretty much touched an 886, but we'll see what happens on Joe. I think Joe could maybe come down, maybe sweep some lows here. And once these lows get swept, this would be your trigger for a long up. So if we come down here, sweep these lows, reclaim, could be looking for a nice move up here on Joe, and I will add on that. We could also come down and try to find support like right around this level. So we could be looking for something like that. Do we have an FEG down here on the weekly, so that might get tapped eventually. But I do like Joe. Joe is a coin I do want to stack, especially down in anything below this range here. Anything down below here, I'm looking to accumulate this. It's in like the lower half that we've been finding support at. So anything there I can accumulate Joe, I'm looking to accumulate some spot, and then not really look at it for short term, more of a longer term. All right, what did I miss? Did I miss anything? OGN was looking good yesterday. Looks like it's kind of rejecting right now. This one could have an impulsive move up. Total 3 is looking a little weak at the moment. Could be looking for like a cipher on total 3. So maybe a little bit more move down and we'll get a nice little push up. But yeah, I mean, all in all, the main thing I'm looking at. First, I'll go over this first. This does not look good. like we are breaking down from the fallen wedge on Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So that is not a good look for Ethereum. We can go back and look at some of my older targets just so I can show you some more of a macro areas I was looking for Ethereum over Bitcoin. One of them being this 786 here. So if we hold here and we climb back into this, right around this area between here, you also have your 1618 extension here, which is nice. All the way down to the 886 area, which I have marked here in green. We have some like equals here that we could take, sweep down below that, and then look for a reversal at the D point. We also had a larger harmonic, which I'm not sure if it might be invalid now, but let's go to the weekly. I think it was on. We had a nice 618 here. And I believe your 786 was right at this weekly fair value gap down here. And it might have been a monthly too. Yeah, so it's a monthly and a weekly. So this area, the 0.036, is that if we get that for ETH, I think this is an area where you'd want to switch your ETH over to Bitcoin. And you'd have a good position on ETH versus Bitcoin. And you can actually see just on the weekly chart how good of a level this is. You have your fair value gap there. So eventually I think this could happen. We could find a kind of like a micro rally here. Maybe ETF gets approved. Even if this doesn't rally here, it could just come down. But maybe you come down, up, and then ETF for Bitcoin gets approved. You just get a massive pump on Bitcoin or a nuke on ETH. Then this happens, you find this, then that's when you're like, okay, you're going to take your profits on your Bitcoin, you're going to rotate it into Ethereum and move your money down the chain. All right, let me check one more. I haven't looked at this coin in a while. ASTR. It is coming back down into the range I was looking at. So I was looking for a move back down to like 4 cents area. We are coming back down to this. So this could be a good potential long soon. And we'll see how this plays. But other than that, I mean, I don't really have too much to cover. My main coins I'm trying to focus on right now are like AVAX, Arbitrum, the Arbitrum ecosystem. I can take a look at Optimism again too. But some of these stronger alts that have been outperforming, that are taking a dip, I am starting to look for potential lower levels that if we do get a nuke, that I can just start adding some spot bags to some of these coins, because I do think we only have about maybe 200 more days of accumulation historically based on previous cycles to accumulate some of these alts, and we could get the nukes in between then. And if we do, that's when you want to use those for your buying opportunities. So if you guys have any questions, just reach out, let me know. I can try to give you some education from anything I have on my end. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking at. Of course, none of this is financial advice. It's all me just throwing the ideas out there that I'm looking at when I'm looking at these trades. So thanks, guys.